Good morning, afternoon or evening. I hope this video finds you well and welcome to my bear cave and more importantly, welcome to the movie Fancast. If you haven't already, please check out my past episodes with my most recent focusing on the 26th James Bond film. This time, however, I'm going to give you my ideas to a live-action Scooby-Doo series for HBO Max. The reason for this choice is because when I was younger, my dad introduced me to Scooby-Doo, and since then we have both still been watching to this day. Mainly some of the movies, and most of the time, be cool. So before I start, here are some ground rules. I'm going to be as realistic as possible whilst playing within the world of a dream. I'm going to be an executive producer for the newly merged Warner Brothers Discovery. I'll set the budget for the whole series and give some suggestions to what the story could be, and then picking out the cast and crew. As I said before, I've loved Scooby-Doo since I was a kid, and I'm going to focus on a couple of adaptations of the characters that have brought it up to present day. Series-wise, I'm going to be focusing on Mystery Incorporated and Be Cool. And while Scooby-Doo always has a play around in the horror spookiness of it all, and which is why I'm going to be picking Witch's Ghost, because in my eyes, it is the best Scooby-Doo movie. And this comes from someone who loves Zombie Island. The main reason why I chose Witch's Ghost is because as a kid, it genuinely scared me the most. And that was mainly down to the pumpkins, which were terrifying, and it introduced us to the Hex Girls. Elsewhere, the choice for Mystery Incorporated is because throughout Scooby history, it's the one that's given us a continuous story and developed the characters the most, whilst giving us something new and different, which was great. And I genuinely was pissed when they cancelled that series. But when they did cancel that series, it brought us Be Cool. And Be Cool was generally one of the funniest, silliest, childish cartoons I've seen as an adult. It's one of the best. And I still watch it to the day. And with my favourite episode with the gang going to Florida, visiting Shaggy's nan, and Fred wearing shorts. And I've never found Fred wearing shorts as funny as I do. And I want to continue that with the gang progressing, getting to know each other as a gang, and having that mystery vibe to what Mystery Incorporated did, whilst having silly and fun like Be Cool, whilst having a dash of horror from Witch's Ghost. So as you can tell, it's an easy job. With all that out of the way, let's focus on the budget first, because when I was researching, I was amazed by how much budget TV shows have nowadays, especially streaming. For example, Euphoria was something that I was looking to as a kind of similarity in a way, and that's being made for 11 million per episode. That's just mental to me. So, and because this is Scooby-Doo, I think a reasonable budget would be 8 per episode, with a season being between 6 and 8 episodes. So with that sorted out now, I want to focus on the showrunner, and one person that came to mind, I mean, obviously you can have James Gunn come back and brought what he brought when he, brought what he brought during the live action film. But I went with someone different, who's focused more on comedy and character development, which is Bill Lawrence. And in 2018, he signed a 5-year first look deal with Warner Brothers TV. So we're entering the back end of that deal. And I'm kind of trying to get him in and do it as quickly as possible. And as part of his writer's room, I'd be looking at people like Jim Krieg, Carl Stafford, and Caroline Farah. And these people have been involved in Scooby projects in the past, whilst they'll be led by head writers Guy Bustrick and R. Christopher Murphy, who both wrote the terrific Ready or Not, and that's the kind of vibe that I want to go with this project. When you're getting the cast together, if he sold it as a Bill Lawrence Scooby project, with the likes of Scrubs and especially Ted Lasso behind him, and with the budget of every episode, you could get a decent young cast. And with that, again, if you use things like Ready or Not and Euphoria, I still want to be aiming for a PG-13 rating, but it can allow to have R-rated content when needed. Now let's focus on the fun part and getting the gang together. And the first one is an obvious choice. It's Frank Welker as Scooby. No one else is Scooby apart from Frank Welker. Moving forward with Daphne Blake, and Daphne is a character that has possibly grown the most throughout the franchise, especially from conception, where she was essentially a damsel in distress, to now. And especially with this series, she, whilst not as smart as Velma, brings street smarts and a different way of looking at solving the puzzle. And then you bring her background of self-defense, so she's technically the muscle of the group, which is kind of cool. But yet you still, especially in high school, keep that popular rich girl with her who loves her fashion. The actresses that came to mind, first of all, was someone like Catherine Nakamura, who was recently in Arrow as Myra Queen. But instead, and then actresses like Madeline Madden, who got her big break in the live action and seriously decent film Dora the Explorer. But I first saw her in the incredible Aussie Western Mystery Road, and she played the daughter of the lead character and brought her own struggles and whatnot to the role. And recently she's about to star in the upcoming Amazon fantasy series The Wheel of Time. Yet another actress that came to mind was rising British star Ellen Balanska, who recently starred in Charlie's Angels and will be starring in the upcoming Resident Evil series for Netflix as well. So I had those three in mind, but now I'm going to completely ignore all that and just get Olivia Rodrigo. She's the biggest pop star in the world right now, and you need to get as many eyes as possible onto the series, and this would be the biggest statement to make. And she also has an acting background with the Disney Plus series High School Musical, the musical. Now, so Olivia is going to be my Daphne. Moving on, let's focus on Fred, who is the leader of Mystery Inc. And the main driver of the van. And in this series, he's going to be the high school quarterback, but has a secret love of traps, as evidence throughout, especially in recent memory. Fred is sycophant about traps. He is a die-hard trap fan, and whilst he's not the biggest, whilst he's not the brightest light in the group, he takes an action of, he's a take action, ask questions later kind of attitude. And the person I had in mind for the role was Stranger Things star Desiree Montgomery. He's a wonderful actor and would do wonderful in the role. If Daphne was a big character development, Velma is equal to her. Throughout the early years, she was just the nerd who solved the mysteries. But thanks to the live action film, and especially thanks to Linda Cardellini, she's become a sex symbol. And even more important, Velma, the character, has become a gay icon within the LGBT community. She can be written as bi or gay, which is great. And the curation of Thelma in recent years has brought that forward. But yet, similar to how she's still a genius, but has gained a sharp wit and a sarcastic side. Someone who would play the nerdy classic role, as it were, would be Isabella Marston, I think that's how they pronounce it, who did a great job as Dora in the live-action film, and she's somebody who is incredibly likeable. But elsewhere, there was Boo Hunt, who is possibly best known recently as Danny Morningstar in The New Mutants, once it finally got released from its 25-year backdated release. And I think it would kind of be awesome to see a Native American in a major role. Yet again, I'm going to ignore all that and go with another former Disney star and bring in the voice of Moana. Oh, God. Ululai Kalabaro. God, I hope I said that right. Who would rock all the elements, both past and present, of Thelma, and make her and with her own personality, make her a beloved character, and hopefully bring something new and maybe a bit of innocence as well. Finally, let's talk about Shaggy, because this was actually the hardest one to pick, because I didn't particularly want to just pick somebody who would look like a stoner dude, because let's be honest, because Shaggy's quite important to the group. He's incredibly loyal and well liked in the gang. And somebody that came to mind was Marcus Scooby-Doo. Oh God, I'm so bad with names. Just witness his performances in the sitcom, and he just gives that shagginess. He's a bit of an idiot, but a lovable, likeable idiot. As for other roles, I would bring back essentially all the members who were in the live action film. Carlini would be Thelma's mum. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. would be Daphne's parents, whilst Matthew Lillard would be the assistant to Brendan Fraser's Sheriff Stone. As for Shaggy's dad, I'd love to see Donald Faison in the role. Due to his connections to Lawrence with Scrubs, and he's just a top tier actor and would